back, Stephen, because we're going to talk about something very, very similar with Solange now in the newspaper review. This is about the potential for effectively interfering in price hikes, isn't it? Here in France, though, Solange.
Yeah, and rising prices at the pump is an issue that is likely very much on the mind of Emmanuel Macron and his government at the moment. As L'Opinion notes, we're 6 months away from the presidential election in France, and the last thing that the executive wants is a repeat of the yellow vest movement. As Cac's cartoon for L'Opinion shows, the hike is like a sleeping yellow vest dragon, with Macron trying to put out this fire before it starts. But how is he really going to do that? Well, the daily Aujourd'hui en France wonders whether it will be through lowering taxes or providing funds to lower-income families so that they can fill up their tanks. The government said that they will come out with answers by the end of the week.
Well, let's stick with the French press and with Petrol as well. An explosive report that's coming out today.
Yeah, Mediapart tells us that a group of academics, they dove into the archives of groups like Total and ELF and found that as early as 1971, these petrol giants, they knew that the industry could have disastrous effects on the planet. So much so that, as Libération notes, that they were, quote, fabricating ignorance, and that actually behind the scenes, they had strategies in place to sabotage measures to reduce emissions. Much in the same vein as ExxonMobil, there was a similar report that came out on them a few years ago. So it sounds like the dirty little secret of France's petrol giant Total is finally out.
Solange is full of secrets today, in fact, because the secret is now out as well in regard to China. We still don't know what it really means, though, do we, Solange? On Saturday, Financial Times reporting China had tested a hypersonic missile, but the report's now coming under quite a lot of scrutiny.
Yeah, and Le Monde tells us that China has flatly denied that a test missile with nuclear capabilities orbited the planet this past summer. Beijing says that it was a routine test of a spacecraft experiment and not, as Le Monde puts it, a means of improving Beijing's military might towards the US's. Now, the New York Times, it also raises doubts, citing space experts who said, quote, every aspect of this story has question marks on it. But the paper also adds that if China does now have the capacity of such missile technology, it would not be a surprise. The U.S. and Russia, they have been sort of developing such technologies for over half a century, so 50 years.
And in fact, the power of orbiting technology is also being discussed today in regard to climate change.
Yeah, and in a very visual and explanatory article, the Washington Post, it shows us how European satellites have now begun tracking methane, and they have found large plumes of gas coming from Russia. This forced Gazprom actually to admit that indeed they had a major methane leak. Otherwise, the leak of the invisible gas would likely have gone unreported. As the paper notes, many other such similar leaks have gone unreported in Russia and also as well in Turkmenistan. Bloomberg explains that Turkmenistan has what it calls a dirty secret. It is one of the world's worst emitters of the planet-warming methane. Not only does it have a drilling accident crater that you see there that's been leaking methane for 40 years, but orbiting satellites continue to show that there are leaks across the country.
So Solange has brought us rising petrol prices, Star Wars technology and leaking methane, and she's managed to find some good energy news as well, though.
Yeah, and it's in the form of wind. The business magazine Fast Company tells us an American inventor has created a small wall-like grid of squares on axes. You see it there. That's actually a wind turbine, and the wind spins the boxes, and they could produce enough energy, electricity power to power an entire home. You could put them on your house, so that's some hope there. Now, such ingenuity does give us hope for the future, and environmentalist Jane Goodall is speaking extensively at the moment to the press about such hope when it comes to climate change. Discussing her book, Goodall says that solutions to stopping climate change, they do exist. They are not a secret. Now we just have to band together and make them happen, she says.
Hopefully we will. And making it happen is something an Indian couple was determined to do in Kerala.
Yeah, next to nothing would stop them from getting married, getting to the altar. The Guardian tells us of an Indian couple that took ingenuity to another level when floods in Kerala blocked the roads to their wedding venue. Well, they managed to float there in, get this, a cooking pot. The couple borrowed the pot from a nearby temple, as they said it was the only option on such short notice. The floodwaters were rising fast, and it is a feat that has now made them the darlings of the internet, as the video has gone viral.
Oh, wonderful stuff. Yeah, terrible floods there in Kerala, but amazing image.
At least they made the best
and
out
a
of it.
lovely story, exactly. Yeah, thanks a lot, Solange Mujan with the papers.